What kind of cases do I usually handle? Was that
Yeah.
your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly family based, although I am doing some E2 visas and of course there are the occasional changes of status and things like
Yeah.
that, the occasional student visa, but mostly family based, mostly adjustments, which then of course turn into I-751, removal
Yeah.
of conditions that turn into N-400s, that turn into sponsoring their parents, and they just go on and on. I love those cases.
What kind of timelines are you seeing for adjustment cases in the different field offices in your area, or the case?
Yeah, we're still taking quite a while. I find there was a time period that it really was speeding up, but now I'm seeing things taking a little bit longer in my jurisdiction, which is West Palm Beach area. But again, what I have noticed very, very recently, now that we're in the month of October, which is the USCIS end of the year, right?
Yeah.
Their year end is October. I don't know if it's because of that, or I don't know if it's because the upcoming elections in November, but they're suddenly churning out Nats interviews like
Yeah.
crazy. Are you seeing that too?
Uh, I didn't have any Nats cases in this current time, but that is their policy generally. That
Yeah,
in years of elections, they push out the Nats.
yeah,
I've had even say that before, and I think
yeah,
that's what's happening. Because I've had adjustment case in LA that are getting done in 3 months last year, and then all of a sudden it hit a snag. Now it's like 6 9 months, still no interview. So I think they're just moving officers to push the Nats cases along.
yeah.
Because I'm like, why did it slow down? It's so good, or it's happening so fast, and everything just stopped all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
it was so fast and then it suddenly slowed down again. And now I'm feeling it's getting a little better again. So let's hope, keep our fingers crossed that that continues.
Kind of ran. I had a colleague refer to this one case for Egypt where the embassy there is denying renewal of passports for children whose parents were citizens. So the rule was that parents got green cards for the kids. They came to the United States. They're supposed to reside in the United States for the child to become a citizen. But
Yeah,
parents initially came for a tourist visa, went back to Egypt, then got passports. And they got the passport. They renewed it once, twice. The third time around, the U.S. Embassy in the interview for the renewal asks, did you reside with your children in the U.S. or just come and go?" And hundreds of families are saying, "No, we just came back," and they're revoking all these passports from hundreds of children. And so I got
wow,
one of these cases, and I got two and a four, and
wow,
they're doing N600 case for them, and
yeah,
it's crazy. And the ones I filed where they said we're going to go to the field office in Southern California, 6 months, all we got is a receipt. But the Houston, this is like a secret tip for our toolbox listeners. In the Houston field office, we'll get it, and within like a week, they'll review the documents, approve it, and then ask you, email you saying when you want a date for an interview. It's
wow,
so if you have an N600 case,
yeah,
and the family can afford to fly out to Houston because they don't, it's kind of random to get a hotel there or
yeah,
something like that. The
yeah.
office is spectacular for these
Wow.
cases.
That's really good. That's good. Yeah, it's interesting because I have done quite a few N600 cases lately. They do take a bit of time to get approved, but so far they've all been approved. But I always recommend to anyone who's just renewing passports and they never bothered to get the N600. I have seen this happen so many times where, they've been renewing their passport, no problem. And then all of a sudden, one year they enter into a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like your client did, right? So I always say, get the N600, get the
Yeah.
certificate of citizenship. That way, when you continue to renew your passport, you'll always have that to fall back on.
Yeah, I had a call once from a guy who's like he should have got an N600 because his dad naturalized and became a citizen, but he just got the passport. He was in Puerto Rico and his passport expired, and there's no way to renew it for some reason. They're asking for proof, and he's like, "I don't have
Right.
a nat cert," so he's like,
Yeah.
"You're stuck all of a sudden." And I was
You're
like,
stuck. I had an adjustment case. They came to me just for the interview, and I went with them to the interview. But the U.S. citizen spouse became a U.S. citizen, but only renewed his passport and never bothered to get the certificate. Right? And the officer was like, "Well, unless you have a certificate, like I'm not
"Yeah,
approving this case." So yeah, so I always tell people, yeah, I know the filing fee is like 1170, right? It's
yeah."
ridiculous, but it's so worth it to get this. Usually it's a younger person, get
Yeah.
this for your child, get this for whatever.
It's annoying
It's
because of the
worth it.
fee. When they're redoing the fees, they said they're going to cut the fee for the N600 in half because it doesn't take that much work.
Yeah,
But it was one of the few things that they were going to bring down in price. So never ended up doing it.
they
But
never did.
yeah,
Yeah.
case, I mean, get the CRBA at least or something like that. But it's so
Yeah.
good to get that naturalization certificate of citizenship.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
surprised
You
the
need
officer
that.
really. What happened? So did they put the case on pause until you got an N-600 in, or did you
Yeah,
fight?
you know what? They made a big deal of it at the interview, and then they wound up approving it anyway.
Yes.
So stupid. But I was really worried because I said to the client, I said, "Look, you better think about getting your certificate because this could be a problem." And then
Yeah.
weeks later, they approved it, so we were lucky.
Yeah, it probably scared the hell out of him because
Yeah,
what are you gonna do? Yeah,
yeah. Hopefully,
imagine
he's gonna get
if
it.
they came on ESTA, they did it. If it's denied, is you don't get the second chance. So it's like it's
Right.
a mess. But you see these officers just change things up on you. Like I just one naturalist. I've been doing an adjustment case, but the mayor adjustment. But the petitioner was a green card holder and had filed for home naturalization, and they sent a notice of intent to deny for absences, and it was a 50-50 chance, and she responded, and then they approved it. I was looking at it, I'm like, there's no way they're gonna approve this.
Yeah,
But they approved it, so they just scared the hell out of her, and then she just repeated
yeah.
what she had said at the interview, and then they approved it. So
Wow.
just
You
it's a
just
weird
never
situation.
know.